Podcast. Real life, real faith, real talk.
Yo, it's been a little while since we recorded a pod, bro.
Yeah, but we had so many backed up that now we're behind again.
I know, this is like...
That's okay.
You know the Two Bears, One Cave podcast with Tom Segura and Bert Kreischer? Yeah. They do that, and their fans hate them for it, dude.
Yeah?
I think their fans just hate them for some reason.
I think people just hate them.
Not us, bro. Everybody loves us.
Everybody loves us. All the fans love us.
Never heard a complaint.
That reminds me, for the fans, by the time this episode comes out, it will be closer to time. So, I just want to go ahead and get this out there. We are going to be doing a live podcast in Martinsville, Indiana, on October 18th.
Oh, yeah.
So if we want people to come ask as many wild, inappropriate questions as they feel the need to do.
And there's going to be no clown bleeps.
No clown bleeps.
Very professional.
Yeah, we're going to let it ride. Whatever happens, happens.
We're going to be in front of all types of church folk.
I do have to figure out, though, how we're going to do the audio recording and also have it like where people can hear us talking on the mics at the venue. So we'll have to figure that out. But it's at the venue in Martinsville.
What venue?
On October 18th. It's literally called the venue. It's an outdoor venue. It's an outdoor venue called the venue. And it's October 18th. So put that on your calendars and forget about it like I forget about everything on my calendar.
And wear your bug spray because we're not trying to get no dengue, bro.
I don't think they've got that here in the States. In fact, AJ told me that the reason it can't transfer to the States is something about the climate here. The mosquitoes that have that virus, the virus can't live inside of them.
I think it's because they die in the winter, right?
Yeah, something about them dying off in the winter, whereas in Honduras they live forever. Apparently, I don't know.
I embarrassed myself today, bro.
How's that?
I met this guy. I fixed his water heater yesterday. We keep having problems where people's water heaters will just stop. Does that ever happen to you? And you have to refire it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I refired this guy's furnace, and he's the sweetest guy, super nice. He didn't have hot water for 3 days. And he's like, "Oh, I hate to keep bothering you guys." I'm like, "Bro, you should have bothered us sooner, bro."
Yeah.
So I'm talking to him about it today, and he's telling me how much he loves America and how he's from Puerto Rico. And we're talking for 30 minutes. I'm like, wait, so are you legal? Because he'd only been here for 7. No, chill. Because he'd only been here for 7 years, and I know people that have been here for 20 years trying to get their citizenship. Yeah. And I asked him, he's like, bro, Puerto Rico is American. Yeah. I'm like, my bad, bro. my bad. I embarrassed myself a little bit.
That's hilarious.
But he was talking about, he was like, man, it's so hot out there. Normally we took cold showers, but I can't do it out here, man. Indiana weather sucks, bro.
It's been interesting. It's kind of cooler right now. Right now, it's my favorite time of the year, actually. It feels great outside, which I think that bodes well for the live podcast event, where I will also be subsequently releasing my book called Through a Glass Darkly, which I found several books by that title now, all of a sudden, that came out this year. But whatever. I don't care.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, and one of them was a weird fantasy romance novel. I'm like, where'd they get that? Stealing Bible quotes for their nasty books. Get out of here with that. For their filth books.
Through a Glass Darkly. I guess I could see that being a creepy fantasy.
50 Shades of Darkly Glass or something. I don't know.
Bro, girls love that romance stuff, bro. I've been online dating again, bro. It's not helpful. All these chicks, bro, they're into Native American culture and spirituality and romantic books.
And they're all just like, bro, I just need you to send me some money to get me started, and then we're good. Once I get back from Afghanistan, I'll give you more money.
I saw this girl the other day. Her caption literally just said "fat baddie" on it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Buzz, all right."
Buzz, all right. So I didn't know we live under the same roof now, and this is the first you've mentioned to me that you were online dating. Probably because you didn't want me to make fun of you, I would imagine.
Ever since I can't watch porn anymore, bro, I'm like...
You're like, now I need to find a real girl.
I'm like, I need a P31, bro. Stop playing.
You're like, I need a real girl now.
Anyone listening, hit me up, bro.
Not that those girls are not real that are on the internet, just that, yeah, you get it.
It's not very real. I did something interesting. I changed my filter to, people who are only looking for long-term relationships.
Very cool.
And it was every woman was 28 or over, dude. Every woman. So it's they got all their fun out of the way, and now it's time to get serious.
They're like, quit playing.
Yeah. I can't find that, bro. I can't find my P31, man. Maybe it's just not meant for me.
I thought, this is how bad I am with the lingo. I didn't realize that it was a scripture reference you were making just now.
My P31.
Yeah. I thought it was something disgusting you were saying. I was just gonna
clown bleep it.
I was just trying to ignore it. I was gonna bleep it out later.
Nah, bro.
No, I get it.
There's a Christian rap song. This guy's rapping about his wife. He's like, "She's my P31."
Yeah, I see what I
know
get
what
it
I'm
now. Yeah.
Yeah,
I thought it either had to do with something nasty or like a gun.
I saw
P31 sounds like something from Goldeneye.
I saw a girl. She was like, "I need me a man of God that's freaky in the sheets." I'm like, "What is happening here, bro?" She is not my P31,
but
maybe. I mean, oh no, that's
but
the
you know what
Songs
I'm
of
saying.
Solomon.
I'm taking. You know what I'm saying.
Maybe she's not my P31, but maybe she a P30 or something. You know what I'm saying? I'll do a P30.
I also thought it might be an exercise craze like P90X.
P31 XXX.
That's what that girl was on about.
That fatty dude.
Yeah,
that
that's
fat
crazy,
fatty,
dude. That's
Stop
crazy.
playing.
That's crazy.
Yo, what we want to talk about today, I want to preface it with the conversation we've been having for like the last week.
We've been having a lot of conversations about whether or not we should have tattoos.
Nah, it's not really like me trying to. It was never like me trying to condemn you or think like you shouldn't have tattoos, but I got my first tattoo and it had a lot of meaning to it. And then I got the second tattoo because I thought it was cool. We talked about it in Honduras. And I just got this other tattoo and it was like super meaningless. I went in there, didn't know what I wanted. I knew what I wanted, but I'm not going to go into the whole story. It went awry. And this guy's like, all right, let's draw something up real quick. And I get this tattoo of the angel from Exodus, the Passover, the angel of death. And I was just thinking about it. I was like, man, I was praying. I'm like, is this glorifying to God, man? Like me getting tattoos just because I think they're cool. And I've been thinking about it and reading Leviticus 19. And like, it seemed pretty clear to me that, tattoos were sin. There's all these excuses of why it's not or why it's not, yada, yada, yada.
Sure.
But none of that matters, right? It doesn't matter if it's for ancestral, whatever, what God was talking about. Hebrews 8 and 9. No matter what God was talking about, makes it very abundantly clear that there is a new law.
Yeah.
And a new law meaning the old one is obsolete. It literally says those words.
Which so many people would be like, well, we still have to observe the Torah because Jesus says this, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, he doesn't, though. He says that there are two commandments, love the Lord your God with all your heart and love your neighbor as yourself. And in that, all of the 10 commandments fall into that. But all of the ritualistic or the Levitical laws or the dietary laws, all of those things had their time and their place. But yeah, you're right. Hebrews is pretty clear about when Christ came, that stuff no longer has a place.
Yeah.
Now, individual conviction of the Holy Spirit, I think that is still something that we definitely need to respond to.
But that's hard, though, if you're, like, going to church and you're with somebody that thinks tattoos are a sin and you don't.
Yeah.
So now they're condemning you
sure.
for having tattoos.
For sure. And I'll be honest. You're talking about you wanted really meaningful tattoos. I have some really meaningful ones, and I have some straight-up just goofy ones,
the Undertaker?
Dude. Yeah.
Swamp Thing?
Yeah, I got Swamp Thing and the Undertaker. It's whatever. But I see it as art, and I don't think there's anything wrong with it. And I'm not doing it like to ritualists. I'm like not doing it to summon the Undertaker. Or,
you're right.
Whatever. Like I'm having a good time, and I don't think that there's anything necessarily wrong with that. Now, there are some people who are really upset about that or offended by that, and like I told this story before. There's a guy that he's passed now. He's with the Lord, and but he was at my church, and the one of the few times my dad got to visit while I was at this church, with him being a pastor too, it's kind of hard for him to get away. But the one time he came to my church, they had like this lunch for me and everything after my ordination and all this, and it was pretty fun, good time, and like got to meet some new people and everything like that.
Which bishop ordained you?
Which apostolic line am I under?
The line of Judas. The line of Jesus and Mary Magdalene.
I'm the Holy Grail.
I'm the Holy Grail.
Watch the Da Vinci Code, dude. Anyway, no. So this guy was like talking about, and back then I wasn't intentionally like covering my tattoos, but when I first started, I was wearing like suit jackets all the time. Now I still do pretty regularly, not all the time though.
Today you're like blacked out the Zions Hill merch on the shirt.
This is my everyday get up. This is what I like to look like. But yeah, I used to wear suit jackets and stuff a lot, and I didn't have like the hand tattoos so much, and the forearm tattoo is mostly just like upper body stuff and leg tattoos. And so it was not like apparently obvious right out for seeing me that I had tattoos.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, I've had these gauged ears forever. Like I was like 18 when I got my ears pierced, so that's different. But I had this guy who was talking to my dad, and he was like talking about his son's church, and he was talking about me and how much he loved my preaching, and he's like, "Oh yeah, we're really blessed to have your son." He's like, My son's church has got this guy. He's got all kind of tattoos and everything else. It's crazy. And my dad's just kind of like, whoa. Yeah. So that's interesting because you think like that might be a thing. And I think sometimes when I'm out there doing the prayer on the square and stuff, some people are surprised when I say I'm a pastor or whatever. But the majority of things that I've heard from people, especially younger people coming to the church, are like, I wasn't sure about coming to this Baptist church, but then like it's comforting to me to see that you're a pastor and you look different than what I expect a pastor to look like, And I don't know if I'm not saying that that's like a selling point for it, but I definitely think that I can minister to people differently than someone who's always wearing a suit and tie and like real clean cut, shaved beard,
I think this is like a be all things to all people, and also the like caveat is like, or it kind of plays hand in hand, is like don't be a stumbling block to other people as well.
Yeah.
So it's like if I know, we were talking about this in recovery about worship. The guys were talking about how they love to like get up and dance and yell and be real loud, and this is probably my contrarian nature, but I'm like, yeah, but what if the lady sitting next to you is offended by you being loud and yada yada yada? And our response to that wants to be like, who cares? Like, I'm going to worship the way God wants me to worship. But it seems clear to me that God wants us to be, God wants us to serve the people around us.
Yeah.
And how do we serve the people around us? If the people around me are offended by my tattoos, I wear a button up. I wear a long sleeve shirt.
Yeah.
But if I'm at a church camp with young guys, having tattoos like kind of makes me like fit in with those guys in a weird way. Yeah. Not that I'm trying to be like them, but I'm trying to be like them enough to where it gives me an in.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It gives you a conversation starter, if nothing else.
Yeah. I mean, today I was telling you, this little kid walked up to me. I didn't tell you the whole story. So there's this like little boy with no shirt on walks up to me. He's like, "Hey, come here. I got to tell you something." He's like doing this to me while I'm in my truck. I'm like, "What, bro?" He's like, "This kid over here, he tried to stab this other kid. He came out with a knife, and I brought the other kid over. I'm like, bro, you can't do that, bro. Like you could legit go to jail, bro. Like, if you really stabbed that kid and killed him, you would be in big trouble, bro." And I'm talking to him about that, and he's like staring at my arm. And I'm like, "What are you staring at, bro?" He's like, "That tattoo." And I got to tell him about a story from the Bible.
Yeah.
That's really cool, really legit, and really like impactful to our faith. The Passover is super right. It's the fundamental of our faith. So it's like, you're right, it's like an opening up, like an opening question, I guess, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or a conversation starter.
Yeah. And I think what I'm finding is the more that I study Hebrews, the more I'm seeing that, like, I mean, obviously we know that Christ is like the final answer to all of it, obviously. But Hebrews really puts the nail in that coffin. Like, it cements the fact that, like, it basically says all of this other stuff that you might hold dear, or these sacred cows you might have, or things that you might think are, like, important, tradition, ritual, all these things, that's all well and good, but Christ is greater than all of that.
Yeah.
And completes all of that. And all of the prophecies and the prophets that that people idolized or, like, thought were a huge deal or really looked up to, all of those people are just were a type of Christ, where they were like an introduction to Christ for those people. And so he becomes, well, he is just greater than all of those things. And so it's like, now we have to, like, we have to reconcile that with the way that we live our life, in that we can be excited about the things that we do ritualistically or religiously, or the things that are like part of our faith walk or our journey, the things that we do that's like part of our doctrinal traditions and all of these things. But we can't let those things ever be more important than what Christ did for us.
The thing is, though, is like it is a religion. Like, I don't like that people try to take, like, we'll say it's not a religion, it's a relationship. Right. Well, it's both. You know, it's a religion because of the relationship. Yes. You know what I mean? So it's like there are things. Let's talk about some of the things we believe in. We believe, and to be frank, we would judge people who don't come to church. Yeah. We would kind of like maybe not condemn their souls, but, you know, think of them as not there yet.
I had a conversation with a guy today out of the square that was telling me how, like, he came up to me just to tell me that he was, like, glad to see some Christians actually out there doing it, which I was like, I just have a sign up here that says I'll pray for people. I don't know what actually doing it is, what he means by that. But there's a lot of people who will say stuff like that to me when I'm out there, and that's fine. But he was like, you know, he's like, this is why I don't go to churches, because I haven't found a church that all the churches all talk, and nobody's out there doing it. And I was like,
that's your job, bro.
And I don't know, this may not have been a great thing, but I had every opportunity to like give him a business card and be like, well, come see us Sunday, buddy. But I kind of was also like, I don't know that our church would be the right place for him at that point. You know what I mean? Like,
no, because you're always going to find people who are failing.
I think he would get there and be excited for a little bit, but he'd probably be like, yeah, this church also isn't doing everything that I want it to do. Yeah. And so yeah, I think you're 100% right on that. And again, Hebrews talks about that too. It's in Hebrews where it says to not forsake the gathering of yourselves together, and that
I don't understand.
And that can be misused too, where people will be like, well, that's just about going to church. And it's like, well, it's not exactly, but also that is part of it.
But it's like the thing, like I met a guy on Tuesday. He had a C.S. Lewis book on his table. I wanted him to go do some work. I was like, oh, bro, you like C.S. Lewis? Have you read The Space Trail? Yada, yada, yada. I'm talking to him. I'm like, are you a Christian? And we start talking about the church, and we're like, he's talking about this Bible study he has that like started with 12 people, and now it's like 6, yada, yada, yada. And we were talking about like how as a Christian, he's a young man. I'm like, how as a Christian would you not want to commune or gather with other Christians? Why would you enjoy more communing and gathering with secular people? Well, maybe it's because that's what your heart secretly desires. Yeah. Right. So why are you forsaking the gathering of the church? Yep. It's because you're forsaking communion with Christ. Yeah. And obviously, like, not every Bible study. I had a bad experience with Bible study at your church. It wasn't completely bad, but like sometimes it's not. You don't leave feeling great. Right. But also sometimes you leave like with a new perspective, a new revelation, a new understanding, because there are people around you, believe it or not, in the faith who are more wise than you and know more and have had more experience with our Lord than you have. And we need to spend time around those people, especially old people. Young people cannot stand old people in the church. And that makes me lose my mind, bro, because it's like you got to chew up the meat and spit out the bones. I'm going on a rabbit hole here. But yeah, I don't know, man. But there are things, though, in a religious aspect, that's what I was saying earlier, that we do, like the Bible studies, the Sunday service. But my pastor said once, we were talking about earlier how in the Old Testament, and Hebrews quotes it, how God doesn't want your ceremony, he wants your heart. Yeah, yeah. So my pastor said something that really surprised me. He was like, my old pastor, he said, if I'm driving to church on a Sunday morning and he's the pastor, and he's like, and I see like an old lady walking to town in the rain, I have to pick her up and do like the right thing over this ceremony that we have. Yeah. Right? So that's like the love of God. I mean, the 2 commandments Jesus gives. Right. Exactly. The love of God is shown through our love of the people around us. Yeah. Which is more important than our ceremony. Which is kind of where we're at with the law, I think. Yeah. Yeah, I think so too. I think it's so interesting that we've been having this conversation about the law so much, and then both of us, independent of each other, were like reading Hebrews and saw this and we're like, whoa. I know, you came down here like you were ready to smack me down.
I know, and you're like, yeah, dude, I just read that.
Yeah. I want to get into some of that. I was reading in Hebrews 10, the writer, whoever that might be, Paul, Luke, Timothy, whatever, Judas, the law is only a shadow of the good things that are coming, not the realities themselves. For this reason, it can never, by the same sacrifices repeated endlessly year after year, make perfect those who draw near to worship.
Where is this? This is Hebrews 10?
10:1. The law is only a shadow of the good things that are coming.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because we look at the law not as a good thing, I think sometimes.
I think you're right.
But doesn't Paul say, oh no, I think it's one of the psalmists, he says, I rejoice in the law.
Yes. Hebrews 10. I want to see this really quickly.
This is the tricky thing.
What is this? What Bible is this? This is in my home. What is this?
That's KJV, bro. Or
no, it's a Revised Standard Version. Is
that the Catholic Bible?
I don't know what this is. Who's it? Oh no, what's going on here? Whose is this?
It's yours, bro.
Well, obviously, all these notes. Oh, okay.
That's a bloodstained Bible, bro. The pages are red, dude.
All right, let's see what we got. What verse were you in?
Hebrews 10:1.
10:1, yeah. For since the law has been but a shadow of the good things. Yeah. So this is interesting. C.S. Lewis has this quote, and I'm probably going to butcher it, but
C.S. Lewis.
I talked about it. I'm going to talk about it on Sunday, which we're unclear of whether or not you're going to be there. Your calendar's kind of getting rocky.
Got to visit the true church, bro.
The high church. That sounds like a cowboy or like a Western church, like High Noon. Here we go. If I find in myself a desire which no experience in the world can satisfy, the most probable explanation is that I was made for another world.
Interesting.
And that's what I kind of think of when we think about these things, like the law being a shadow. It's like it is this really good thing, but it was only just a glimpse of the good thing.
Well, he says that here. He says, for the worshipers would have all been cleansed once for all and would no longer have felt guilty for their sins.
Yeah.
So I've been really thinking about this in Hebrews 2. Not in Hebrews 2, but in Hebrews 2.
Hebrews also, yeah.
About how the writer of Hebrews is really reminding us not to feel guilty.
Yeah.
He talks about guilt a lot. And the thing with the law is the law like makes you feel guilt in a way. Because when you read Leviticus, you read 100 things at least that you're doing wrong or have done wrong. If that law was applicable to our lives.
Yeah.
Applicable maybe isn't the word, because the law is applicable to our lives, but if it was authoritative over our lives. But the law that is authoritative over our lives is the man law.
Right.
The man who is the law.
Right.
Yeah.
No, you're onto something for sure. I mean, the writer of Hebrews is onto something.
Oh, this is right here. This is what I was quoting earlier. Sacrifice and offering you did not desire, but a body you prepared for me.
Yeah.
With burnt offerings and sin offerings you were not pleased. Then I said, here I am. It is written about me in the scroll. I have come to do your will, my God.
Yeah, that's good. That's fire.
That's a hard thing to reconcile because we have things like communion. And surely God desires for us to partake in communion.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Well, but see, that's not even an Old Testament establishment, though. Christ established that.
Yeah, I misspoke. That definitely is not in the Old Testament.
And I think most of the things that Christ established are foreshadowed in the Old Testament, for sure.
Yeah.
But I think that it's there's baptism is not necessarily an Old Testament thing. But I think it's also important. It's
salvific.
I don't know. We could argue that all day. I don't think it's salvific, but I think it is. If you are saved, you should want to get baptized, and you probably will want to get baptized. I don't think there's anything stopping you at that point. But yeah, I think we do put a lot of emphasis on tradition, and we were talking about that today, like this whole mentality of like old country church and what that looks like and what it doesn't look like, and what the expectation is for a church with certain names and in certain parts of the country. And I think it's okay to break that mold a little bit and not be so standardized and so specific, but also, as you know, we've talked about with some of our high church brethren, there is some level of like the history and tradition of the church that is definitely important to help us understand why we believe the things we believe or why we do the things that we do. But ultimately, I think all of it has to give way to Christ.
Yeah, but I think...
Does that make sense?
For sure. I think Hebrews 12, though, I was reading at the beginning of it, it says, "Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles us." And then I was reading, Hebrews 13, it says, "Remember your leaders who spoke the word of God to you. Consider the outcome of their way of life and imitate their faith." So there is a sense in where, like, this is basically proclaiming that church history is important. Not, like, take the church history out of it. The people of the church.
Yes.
The people who have been faithful.
Yeah,
There's another verse in Hebrews that says, like, we don't follow those who shrink and fall away. We follow those who persevere and save, or something like that.
And that's probably where C.S. Lewis got the idea for The Great Divorce.
Sure.
The people getting smaller.
Yo, you're an idiot. I thought you were saying something legit there.
No.
That was a Wyatt moment. Shout out Wyatt, dude. We need to get him on the pod to start third mic in.
That's good.
Yeah, man. So, I don't know. I think of you in that way. Like being around you has made me more mature in my faith. 1,000,000%.
Maybe not more mature as a human, but definitely more mature in your faith.
I don't know. I shower more now that I'm
That's
living
good.
with you.
That's good. And now we've got 2 running showers. That's good. We got that all fixed up.
Blood.
I want to come back to this, but I was thinking, this just hit my mind. I've been listening to a lot of gospel music.
A lot of Josiah Queen.
No, that's not gospel music, dude. I mean, that's Christian music, not gospel music. This Ty Tribbett, have you ever heard of him?
Mm-mm.
He's like soulful gospel, dude.
Really?
And he's got this song called Son of Man that's like one of my favorites. And it's super like gospel-y and soulful. And he does this like, he does some real like Elder Michael Jacobs bits in it where he'll be like, yeah! Hey! Like that kind of stuff. The kind of stuff that like, it'll get you speaking in the Holy Ghost, or it'll get you speaking in cursive like RFK. You know, when you're done, you're just like,
I killed a whale in Vietnam.
Yeah, and then you got to clear your throat by doing this. Oh yeah. No, but it's like some exciting stuff, and that it got me thinking about. What made me think of this was you were talking about the guys that going to church and getting too hyped up, you know. But it gets you hyped up.
That's not my opinion, bro. I don't think they're getting too hyped up.
No. I know that was not your opinion, but they were saying that people were thinking they were getting too hyped up.
Sure.
And I think that I think that's exciting. I think I would love to see more people get excited during worship. And, you know, this last Sunday, you were saying that, like,
don't air me out, bro. You got people at the church that listen to this.
I know, but you're like, I don't know if that was not my cup of tea as far as like the music, and it was like real upbeat and kind of like.
I think it was a lot of people's not cup of tea.
Sure, but it was like really upbeat and fun, and they were trying to have a good time with it.
It was like church camp vibes.
But I think sometimes that's okay. I think that kind of like get people excited. Now, if it doesn't take off, and you know. Maybe, you know, you have to read the room a little bit and reevaluate. But I think that it's important to get people excited about that. And this goes into what we're talking about, that if we're so stuck in tradition of like, stand up, sing this song, sit down, stand up, sing this song, sit down, that kind of thing, then we kind of miss, and that's why I think it's so important to tell people, like, right off the bat, like, we don't say stand and sing with us. Like, that's something I've made a point to, like,
right.
Like, I don't really dictate a whole lot of stuff that goes on with the worship team, but I have asked them, I'm like, come up with your own thing. And I think Cole has his own little catchphrase of like how to invite people into the the presence of worship. But I that was the one thing I was like, what I don't want you to do is I just don't want you to say, stand and sing with us.
Right.
Because I don't want it to feel like it has to be this automated thing for every single person.
Also, like if we just examine David, like David, he went crazy with the worship and got all hippity hoppity and skippity and stuff, but also he lamented over his sin.
Yes, yeah.
And sometimes worship, I think the culture of worship in your church, from what I've experienced, they're not anti-contemporary.
Right.
I don't think it's like hymn only, but it is like a reverence and awe.
Yes.
And I think when you get upbeat and stuff like that, it feels less reverent. Does that make sense? It feels a little secular.
I think it can, but I think we also need to make space for that kind of worship of like, and in as much as like that excitement of worship, because it can be reverent, but also it should make you like, there's parts of being the joy, like experiencing the joy of the Lord, that should make you want to dance. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't know if I've ever felt that way.
You've never gotten so excited and so hyped up on Jesus that you just wanted to hey!
No, I always thought that was fake and corny.
Oh no, dude. I get amped up sometimes and I just want to shout. Like I want to get Elder Michael Jacobs to give me a birthday blessing, you know what I'm saying? Like he's getting all wild. That's what I'm talking about. Like sometimes it can be I don't got that kind of cardio though, dude. I can't be dancing like that. But
no, I think for me personally, I think I'm just like in my early Moses era. You know what I mean? Like I'm really like doubting like that I'm capable of doing the things that I think God is calling me to, and it's hard for me to step out of my shell. But also like I've never like felt like clapping and yelling in church.
Yeah. And
I just think like when I listen to your sermons are never like hippity hoppity skippity, upbeat sermons. They're always like you end up crying at the end of every sermon. So it would make sense that the presence, this is just my personal opinion, that the presence of worship would be more somber.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
In line with your sermon, you know what I mean?
But I think some of that it can be like how we're receiving the word too. I'm not like trying to take all the responsibility off of me for the delivery of it, but I was thinking of this one time when Chris and I were going to church together back in the current church days. We kind of, I don't know, there were a lot of people be like, come on, pastor, and that kind of stuff, and like, hey, like lots of shouting and stuff. And we were kind of thinking about that one day, and we were like, oh, well, I don't know why I don't ever feel like doing that. And so, he and I both being like wrestling fans, we were like, maybe it's because we don't feel comfortable with it that we don't get as amped up about it. So one Sunday night, we challenged each other. We're like, anytime we feel like maybe he said something that was like fire, let's do like a typical like wrestling chant or a wrestling noise that you would do at a wrestling show. It's like, if we can get excited about pro wrestling, we should be able to get excited about Jesus, right?
Yeah.
And so we were doing like Ric Flair woos and stuff. Like we were like woo and stuff like that. And then there was this guy at the time. He's passed now, rest in peace. But one of his things is he'd just go yeah 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 yeah. And so Chris and I are just like wooing and like giving like Macho Man like ooh yeah like that and like stuff like that. And dude, I'm not even joking. That was the most amped up I think I've ever been listening to somebody else preach. And it was because I was like finding a way to express the way that the Word of God was making me feel. Do you know what I mean? In a way that was like something I was familiar with. I knew how to like get excited about something in that expressive way.
Yeah, I guess I'm gonna be real vulnerable here. I was praying the other day and I read something in Hebrews about Jude. We're podcasting, bro.
No Oculus, especially right now because you're not supposed to be interrupting the podcast. Dude. So, all right, yeah. So see you later. Close the door. Nope, you can't. You can stop interrupting the podcast like your 5-year-old sister.
Go read the Bible.
Yeah, go read your Bible. Yeah, you can
be a good little Christian boy.
All right, we'll see you in an hour.
I was praying the other day, bro, and I was reading something in Hebrews about like hearing the name of God and rejoicing. And I was thinking about that. And
here's your buddy.
I said that, kept saying the name of God in my head, and what I felt was fear.
Yeah.
What I felt was fear every single time. Like, and I feel like I've kind of been running from God. And this is the thing with the law. Like, I've been afraid of the law, and I've been real afraid of who God is. But I think there's a level of that that's true, and we should feel that way. Because Hebrews, it says, what does it say? To be in the hand of God is something like a terrifying experience. So that's just how I feel in worship. Like, when I think of God, I haven't personally experienced, like, I've been very joyous and at peace, but I've never been like, one to yell or anything like that.
Sure.
Just personally.
Sure.
But not that, like, when I see somebody doing that, it makes me smile, bro.
Yeah.
Makes me happy.
There's this, I watched this R.C. Sproul video today when he was really young, actually. And he quotes Augustine, and he says, Augustine talking about God's righteousness, used to read about like God's righteousness and be fearful of it. And like, oh man, God's righteousness is something to be afraid of. And yes, in like a reverent way it is. But what Augustine came to the realization of is that the word about like the way that God demonstrates his righteousness is that when it says his righteousness, he's giving it. It's a gift he's giving to us, like to wear his righteousness. Not that we're expected to be righteous in the way that God is righteous, because we're incapable of that, but that he is covering us in his righteousness. And I thought that was awesome when I read that, or when I heard that.
Who was it that was in the cave and saw the backside of God?
That would be one of the prophets. Now I'm drawing a blank. Elijah. Yeah.
So, like, I just think of that, man, and I think like seeing the face of God is a scary thing. Like,
Yeah.
I think if there is a judgment day, how we picture it, where we're standing before God, I don't think I'm gonna have any words to say.
Yeah.
I don't know what rejoicing looks like in that sense.
Sure.
And I think that's kind of where we're on two opposite sides of it. Is I think you think of fear of the Lord, and I would agree that I had a guy ask me this once when I was a young Christian dude, and I was working at this like company where we moved printers, and I was in the truck with him, and he was like a hardcore atheist. But I was always reading my Bible. I was like a real Christian back then, bro. I was reading my Bible everywhere in the truck, listening to podcasts, sermons and stuff. And he asked me, he was like, I've always wondered why people say they fear God. Why would you want to fear God? And Hebrews talks about this.
Yeah.
It's like a father. I got to find it. Give us some background.
Well, this was a question that I got a couple weeks ago that I answered on Sunday too. And I think, we have to define that. Like, what do we mean when we say that? Because what I think some people mean when they think of like fearing God is they fear hell, and God can send you to hell, right? Or like that's the way they think. But God doesn't send anybody to hell. People send themselves to hell. You know what I mean? Like it's a choice to reject the free gift of grace. So I don't think of it that way, but you also yes, if you think of God in the sense of he's like the almighty cosmic creator, then yeah, that's scary. So there should be some level of fear in that. But also, when Philip, kind of almost in frustration, tells Jesus to show us the Father, he says, "If you've seen me, you've seen the Father." And so there's also this like meekness that Jesus presents, and this gentleness that is a beautiful like juxtaposition of who God is. And like it's a bit of a like a not a contradiction, but like definitely a dichotomy in that it's similar to like Revelation referring to him as both a lion and a lamb. You know what I mean? Because he's terrifying, but also there's something beautiful about the gentleness and the peace that he offers.
Yeah, it's like having a good father, where I'm just gonna read it because I can't say any better than this.
Yeah.
This is kind of lengthy. My son, do not make light of the Lord's discipline, and do not lose heart when he rebukes you, because the Lord disciplines the one he loves, and he chastens everyone he accepts as his son. Endure hardship as discipline. God is treating you as his children. For what children are not disciplined by their father? And this is it right here, I think. Oh, next verse. If you are not disciplined and everyone undergoes discipline, then you are not legitimate, not true sons and daughters at all. That's a bar right there.
Yeah.
But we need to tell the writer of Hebrews that God says salvation is mine. It's not up to him, bro. But verse 9, this is where he hits it. Moreover, we have all had human fathers who disciplined us, and we respected them for it.
Yeah.
How much more should we submit to the Father of spirits and live?
Yeah.
They disciplined us for a little while as they thought best, but God disciplines us for our good in order that we may share in his holiness. Yeah,
that's good.
So it's like he's a good father who is only doing things for our good and for his good. And so I was talking about this with my pastor yesterday, my friend David Bain that passed away. Remember I went out to go see him in California and all that? He, later in his life, he was a big contractor, did contract work for everybody. He was a crazy dude. He did exterminator work too and got bats out of people's attics. He said he fell off a ladder and he was in bed for 6 months. Couldn't leave his bed. And my pastor was talking to him about it, and he said it's the best thing that ever happened to him. And as a secular person, you would hurt yourself, and you're not making money. Your family's probably struggling. You're probably losing your house. You're losing a ton. That's what happened to him. He lost a ton of stuff. His family went into shambles, but he still thinks it's the best thing that ever happened to him. You know why? Because he got right with God through that time. He realized he was on a path he shouldn't have been on, and God literally had to lay him down for 6 months to put him back on the right path.
Dude, I've prayed for people before where I've prayed that God would do whatever it takes to bring them to him. And sometimes that's a scary thing to pray because it means bringing them to the lowest of the lows. And I think that's also, what is it? Where is it that they talk, I think it's Paul talks about, handing your brother over to Satan so that his body may be broken, but his soul may be saved. And I think that's so real for so many people that they have to reach that point in their life. And you and I were talking about prevenient grace the other day, and I think that is a prevenient grace that I received that so often when I was younger, I didn't see it this way. But I used to think that I had no testimony,
Yeah, we talk about this.
And because I grew up in the church, my dad was a pastor. I didn't really rebel real hard. I didn't get into hard drugs or anything. I just was like a normal kid,
bro,
whatever.
You have gauges and an Undertaker tattoo. you rebelled, bro. No, I'm just kidding.
But then looking back, it's no, that was God's prevenient grace for me.
Yeah, was
that I didn't have to get brought to this low broken place to find him. I just grew up in a family where God's character was known and ever present.
Lead your son in the way of the Lord. And he shall not go astray.
Yeah. So I think that's a blessing more than I used to, because I had a lot of friends that they had these real hard testimonies about horrible stuff they'd been through or horrible stuff they'd done. And I always used to think, man, I wish I don't really have that story. But that's part of the grace.
Well, and the cool thing, I think this is what's cool about our relationship is because I kind of have that story, but in that you could become prideful too. It's also a stumbling block.
Yeah, I think so.
But Wade quotes this all the time, the guy, the recovery guy, our friend.
Yeah.
What does he say? The one who's been forgiven much. What is it? You know this. The one who has been forgiven much.
I don't know what you're talking about.
The one who has been forgiven much. I know 1,000,000% that's how it starts. But I think sometimes because I had such a radical conversion from the life I used to live, I was on the border. I was like in my car about to kill myself, bro, with this super sick MP5, dude. I can't believe I lost that.
A P31.
a super sick MP31. And God saved me out of that. And for a long time, I would give my testimony, but I would almost act as if the things I used to do were cool. And now I'm a changed man. And it was a stumbling block for me, bro. It was a pride thing for me. And now I'm careful about who I give my testimony to. Like, there's no point in me giving my testimony about smoking weed and selling weed to your son Jude,
right? Because
he might think that's cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah. This is in Luke 7:47. Says, therefore I tell you, her sins, which are many, are forgiven, for she loved much, but he who is forgiven little loves little. Is that what you're talking about?
No, bro. Unless Wade's been quoting it the opposite way. He who has been forgiven much loves much, or something like that.
I don't know. We're going to have to ask him, because I'm not sure.
Phone a friend.
We ought to have Wade on the podcast, honestly.
Why? We talked about it.
Yeah.
We suck at scheduling people, dude. That's
we
what
do.
We need Wyatt for.
We do. We need Wyatt to. We need to get Wyatt on so that Wyatt can be our producer, so that Wyatt can contact people, and so it can be his fault when nobody shows up because we didn't invite him. That'd be great.
You guys need to meet Wyatt, man. We talk about him a lot. We talk about a lot of our friends a lot, and we haven't had.
I know.
Him on,
I know. And then, yeah. It's kind of like we're telling a story, and then we're like, "Well, you just kind of had to be there."
It's like the Honduras thing with the demon-possessed dude.
Yeah, I don't know how many times I've told that story, and people just look at me like I'm crazy.
Like they don't believe you.
I'm like, well,
I wouldn't have believed me either if I was the person on the other end of that, bro.
You didn't believe you when we were walking away from it. You're like, what do I make of this?
I literally was thinking that, bro. Yo, I have this super sick picture of us walking down. It looks like a movie scene, bro.
Yeah.
I don't know who took it, but it's on my Facebook dating profile.
Yeah.
If anyone wants to see it, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. You
I kind of look like a lesbian from behind.
If any of you P90X girls want to check it out or whatever.
P90X?
Yeah.
That's what this podcast should be. Even though it has nothing to do with what we talked about, the podcast title should just be like, where my P31
at? Oh, man.
It's all right, bro. I'm just going to have like a Jesus Mary Magdalene relationship. Maybe I'll watch on 33.
One of these days.
That's a joke, anyone who's listening.
Yeah, one of these days we're going to have your future girlfriend on here on this podcast.
She's going to be like, yeah, he stinks and he's not romantic and he's really into this P31 XXX thing.
And he has a bob haircut, like a lady
Have
bob.
I shown you that guy that made that song? He's like, I just got my hair done.
No.
I haven't shown you this?
No.
Dude, he looks like a Lord Farquaad, dude. It's hilarious. It's pretty filthy, though. I don't know. Speaking of that, are we going to talk about how we watched Toxic Avenger before we hop off here?
No, I don't think we should.
No?
I don't think we should talk about
that. It was
that.
a bad movie. Neither of us liked it. It was horrible.
It was, yeah.
Anyways, you know what God's truth is?
Yeah.
Don't want back down.
We should probably watch some wholesome movies soon. Like some Angel Studios stuff or something.
Did you see King of Kings?
I did. It was good.
It was really good.
Yeah, it's fire.
I really like the way they tried to like portray it through like this kid. It was almost like he was having a vision. It was like an Ezekiel movie.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to Light of the World, which is from John's perspective, and they portray John as a teenager, which is kind of what I've always thought also. So.
Really?
Yeah.
Have you heard Jonathan Roumie's testimony, the guy who plays Jesus in the Chosen?
Yeah.
Dude, super awesome, dude.
Yeah, it's very cool.
They picked a good guy for that. He was like, I've heard like people who were on the set of, who was it? I think it was somebody playing Barnabas, and he was walking down the stairs. He wasn't supposed to look at Jesus in the script.
Yeah.
He looked at Jesus, and this guy was an atheist or agnostic or something like that.
Yeah.
And he said when he saw like this portrayal of Jesus that he immediately had faith.
Yeah.
He wasn't supposed to look. It was against, and they kept it in the show.
That's amazing.
But I think The Chosen is heresy and blasphemy, so I don't think it's awesome. I think those are all fake converts, and they're going to hell.
Sure, yeah.
I hope
because salvation belongs to the Zach.
I hope you enjoy the lake of fire, bucko. Better bring your swimmies. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Jonathan Roumie, I love you, man.
I bet there'd be plenty of Zens down there.
Zins? Heaven who? I'm about to be in the next great divorce, bro.
You gotta get through this dating app thing before you can go through a great divorce. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I should put on my profile. I'm looking for my next ex-wife.
Your P90 ex-wife. That's the title, dude.
P90 ex-wife.
Oh, that's fire. There's nothing to do with it at all. Whatever. I feel like there's gonna be a good AI image for that. Oh man, that's crazy. All right. Well,
that's not God's truth. But what do
you
say about
though?
God's truth?
Here's what we say. My name is Warner Swopes, and I've got my best friend and guest podcaster, Prince Luke G. Jr.
Yo, no backstory to that, bro. Nobody's gonna know why that's funny, dude.
That's how you shut down a podcast.
Prince Luke Jeek Jr.
Prince Luke Jeek Jr.
Oh,
all right, but that's not the truth. But God's truth won't back down, and neither should you. Stay focused, stay aggressive, and stay relentless for God's glory. God bless, man.